evening and welcome to the sixth round of the Sam Pearce Motorsport CV-19 Clio Championship from Silverstone International. We'll be running through our drivers and their various vehicles later on, but first of all I'd like to welcome my co-commentator Karl. How are you doing, Karl?
Yeah, good afternoon, Paul. Very well, thank you very much. Just a quick shout out to Charlie. Say hello.
Brilliant. Nice to see you, Karl. Have you had a good week?
Yeah, it's not been a bad week. It's flown by again as usual, so can't wait to get this over and done with and out briefly. But in the meantime, we're go with these guys.
Cool.
How's your week been, Paul?
It's not been too bad at all. It's not been too bad at all, to be fair. The sun's been out for most of it, which has kept us all sane, I'm guessing. And I'm certainly been looking forward to this because there's been some great practice during the week. Have you been playing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I've joined in with the lads a couple of times when they've been doing the practice, and it's been a hard circuit for them to master. There's a few people with tyre glitches and things like that they're moaning around already, so we can't even get away from that for 5 minutes while we talk.
Yeah, so we have actually tried to reload the game this week. So that we could try and get rid of those tyre glitches, but it may just be a case of practice being a little bit on cold tyres, and we'll see how that pans out during the race and see whether or not we've managed to cure those problems. So if we just have a little run through and an update of where we are in the championship. In the green car there, you're seeing our series leader Matt Parr, who's had some great performances. A little bit of trouble in the background there for Scott in the Pro-Am car, who's been leading the championship with 118 points, which is around about 63 points more than his next best challenger, which is Alex Neville. And Alex has been consistently quick, but he didn't have much luck last time out in Spa car.
No, he had a bit of a disaster. He changed his controller last week so that he didn't have the reset button, so when he was on his side he got stuck there for 1 minute and 40 seconds. I'm kind of hoping if he might have changed it back to normal this week. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's interesting to see Matt following Alex around, just having a little look here. So we're back to our standard format, which is 10-minute practice, followed by 15 minutes qualifying, followed by a 20-minute race, and all done by 9 p.m. And hopefully we've cured those tyre glitches as we will see. Well, interesting there, that's Rob Lewis, who's absolutely static on the start straight, so I'm assuming that we've still got his internet woes and glitches, which will be fantastic for everyone who's going to be racing around him.
Yeah, Robert's had glitches the last couple of weeks, so I think it's time he finds a different internet provider, to be fair.
Yeah, it definitely would help him, I think, because he's absolutely parked up there on the start-finish straight, and I very much doubt that legitimately is the case. So Matt's out in front with 118 points as our leading two in the championship there, just set 1:14.7s, which is pretty good pace. I think 1:14.1 is the ultimate pace we may manage to get through. 118 points for Matt and 65 points for Alex. And then actually this is where the real interest for this evening is worth watching as our championship leader goes off there, touches wheel on the grass, is this little group of 5 people that are in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, which is Ed Whitehouse, TOT, on your screen in the top left hand corner on 48, Scott Thompson also on 48, Russell is also on 48, and then you've got Dave, who actually had a great performance in Spa, on 40, and Tom, the Ginger Wrecking Ball Starkey, in 7th position with 39 points. So literally 9 points covering those 5 people. And they've had mixed luck so far this year, Cole, but it's keeping it interesting right into the latter rounds with Matt being so far in the distance.
It has been. There's sort of rumours that Matt hasn't done too much practice, and he's had gone on the beers a bit early, but today, so we'll see whether that's just down to a bit of confidence or a bit of misforgiving. But it is one of these circuits that it's going to be a struggle, and as you've just seen, Alex has just gone into a 14.2, which is the quickest I've seen on any of the racing that we've been doing in the week.
Yeah, so that is a good lap there from Alex as he's pulled out of it. So he's decided that he's put in a good time, sort of 6/10 quicker than anyone else in this initial practice session. So as we know, this doesn't count towards a race. It's just a little bit of early indication of how we're going to do it. And then in that little group behind there, we've got Graham Crowhurst, and actually Graham has been showing good pace and has reverted back to the Monster of Brands livery. So hopefully he's looking punchy and aggressive this week, Karl.
Yeah, he's been very aggressive in testing and going through the week, and he did set a very quick lap during the week, which he was showing off to everyone. But I believe that you were a bit behind that, Paul, with a bit of track limits issues that he had and found.
Yeah, well, what we did was we just switched everything off, and he managed to cut most of the circuit out, and he did a 111, and posted that in the chat group, which prompted Sam, who we were all having a bet on how long it would take Sam Pearce, our series organiser, to bite on that particular one. We knew that we'd got him when he started privately messaging me saying, "Oh, he's definitely quick round there in real life. I think he's got an advantage somewhere. What's going on?" So the job was well done. And there is an issue here. So this corner that he's going through there is normally a marker with cones. We do know track limits are pretty tight here. If you go wide there, you will get penalties. So we are a little bit of action in the background. We are expecting some issues and potentially some drive-throughs, Karl.
Yes, I think you could actually find a lot of time penalties totting up this week. It's also on the exit of the chicane. There's been a bit of issues there as well, with people just running over, and it can be as simple as just getting a wheel over on the turn into the first corner as well. So there's quite a few places here that drivers were picking up penalties, and they add up quite a bit.
Yeah, and someone that we have been tasked to watch this week is Rob Burnham, Rob the Bear here, who's just 1.8 off of our, and he's decided this week that he's actually going to do a little bit of driving, and he's going to put his stereo on this week. So as we go to on board, I just want to see what he's actually playing on his stereo. Well, it'd be interesting to see whether or not that improves his lap times or whether it distracts him. But either way, he seems to be having a party for one in the cockpit this evening. A woman trapped in a man's body is a phrase I've heard Tom use about him in the past, and I didn't believe it until I heard what he was playing. And I don't know if you've got an opinion of that, Karl, if that's a classic or whether it should be avoided at all costs.
Well, it's clearly a classic, but I don't think it's something that you should be racing to. The stick he is not.
Absolutely. As we go and have a little look now on board with Graham, so as he's into the fast turn one, turning in fifth gear, some people taking it in fourth gear, into the left-hander, which is very fast, in our first heavy braking zone. And this is potentially the first area of some issues in the race, with all 15 drivers piling into there at the start. Cutting across because our series organiser was not prepared to pay for the full GP circuit in one hit. So we've got it in two halves. We did the national circuit earlier, and that little right-hander onto the classic hanger straight of the main GP circuit, Karl, is also another bottleneck, and we're probably expecting to see a few incidents, and maybe Send It Sam, as he's christened himself, or Postman Sam, as the rest of us are calling it, because he always sends it. May well decide to take a few people out there, and we know that Andy down the back, and we know that Andy likes it down the back there, that he may may go through the whole of the grid, which I've also heard is not the first time that's been said about him.
No, and he's actually taken that from Rob the Bear as well. We thought he was the one that liked to go through the back of everyone.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, won't it? As Rob's still showing as a glitch on the start-finish straight there. So Graham comes across to start another lap. As we go along now into Abbey, the fast right-hand corner, which is slightly different, into the left-hander, which is Farm Curve, and up to the first heavy braking zone, which is Village, part of the complex. Turning right, a short squirt. That's the actual corner and terminology, not Graham. The left-hander there, into the right of the classic Beckett's Maggots complex, and he's taken that quite nicely, gone wide. Be interesting to see. So Dave, dependable Dave, who's had some great performances, just showing a few issues with track limits as we come down the hanger straight, and this is probably the fastest part of the circuit, Karl.
Yeah, it's the very fast part of the circuit. They're hitting here, and then with a toe, you will be changing up to 6th gear before they go back down to 3rd gear for Stowe, and then into Vale.
And come down the Vale.
We saw midweek. We saw midweek someone actually get hit into the pit lane, and that actually locked them into doing the pit stop. So we've got to be careful of that on the first lap as well.
Yeah, we don't want anyone going down the pit lane by accident as he completes another lap. Someone else who has been coming up on the rail since the first week is Kiwi Russ, and Kiwi Russ has been showing some decent pace. I think he tried to convince everyone he'd done a 1:12 or 1:11 earlier this evening, but we all knew that was lies, and he cannot be trusted, that man, with a word that comes out of his mouth. But he has been showing some good pace and very consistent in the last couple of races with some podium finishes.
Yeah, he's been doing amazingly well ever since he had his 2 fans on, his 2 followers from the southern regions of the world on to follow him a couple of weeks ago. He's been pushing it up, so he's doing very, very well.
He has been doing very well. And we've just finished and completed the first 10 minutes of the free practice. Alex has set a great time there of 1:14.1, which, if that is a qualifying time, would be really good, which is 0.3 quicker than Graham, just in front of OTK, who is coming in at a 14.6, half a second behind, and then Scott in the Pro-Am 0.4. So it is quite tight. The top 6 are covered by less than a second, and with the exception of Nick, who seems to be having some issues at the back there, 3.9 seconds, 1.8 seconds covers the top 12, so pretty close. And actually during the race, I'm expecting it to be reasonably close.
Yeah, I think it will be. I believe Alex got a good lap, which tends to show what the difference between toe here. We thought it was going to make a lot of difference here, but it doesn't make as much as it has at other circuits, to be honest.
Fair enough. And interestingly, Dirty Bertie, who is notorious for his approach to really just ram-raiding everyone out of the way, has managed to sneak in there with a 7th position, just 1.2 off the pace. If we just have a little listen to the music he's been playing, I'll be interested to see how that differs to Rob the Bear. I have to say, I was really expecting this to probably be in Johnny T's car, but Andy's obviously taken this as an opportunity to relax a bit more, and through that relaxation and a little bit of Tony Hart gallery music, he seems to be putting some better laps together, Karl. As we start our 15-minute qualifying session, so it's just about to get serious. Have you got anyone in particular that you're expecting that we haven't really spoken about that you think may well put in a good performance this evening?
I believe Ed will be back on form this weekend, so I had my mic on mute. Classic thing to do.
Ed there in the white and purple car on your screen?
Yes, he's been doing some great lap times, but he has been track limits left, right and centre. I think it's because he's been trying to avoid having an accident for the first race in the series as well. So we'll see how that goes in the first few laps. But I think there's a lot of ploy going on, if you can see up the straights, with people not quite wanting to make the move yet until they can get a tow.
Yeah, well, by the look of it, it looks like they do actually start with cold tyres, and we do see some people warming their tyres going down the straight. But Ed's managed to get 4 corners there, and that's the first time that he's managed to get 4 corners with him actually all 4 tyres on the ground. Normally he's airborne by this stage, and normally someone's involved in that, and sometimes it's on his own. But he is got some pace, but whether he can withstand the pressure, a lot of pressure on his young 19-year-old shoulders. And he's been a good qualifier, but a pretty pants racer so far. I don't know what your thoughts of that are, Karl.
Well, I just think it's the fact that he's a student, he's on the beers all the time, he was proof earlier, and they've got an accident in the background, someone nearly rolling it there.
If I was to be a guessing man, I would say it's probably Andy. Yep, it was Andy. And that's Russ coming through there, asking him to move out the way down the microphone. As we start our first amount of hot laps, let's have a little look at Johnny T. So Johnny T taking absolutely no notice whatsoever at the organisers' request to keep the same livery. He's decided to just go with whatever's on the screen. So that's going to cause you and I a few challenges this evening to try and remember that he's actually here. But Johnny T has been consistent and consistently getting quicker as the series has gone on, using all those years and years and years and years and years of experience that he's got behind the wheel to good effect. And we are expecting him to be fairly steady. And I guess the one that I have been watching the last couple of rounds, Karl, is Dave. And Dave has really been putting a series of performances together over the last few weeks, which have managed to climbing up the table now and put him into contention in that second group there, just 8 points behind third place Ed, who's got a lot more experience in the game.
Yes, and he's also been doing some testing this week. He's been getting the miles in with the guys on circuit. I think they've all found the new time trial. Well, not new; it's new to them. Quite helpful, where they're loading up other people's fastest times.
Yeah, as you just see, Alex has just put in a 13.8, which is by far the quickest lap we've seen on the game throughout any form of practice or anything at all during the week. So obviously that extra practice he's been having during the week in his minis, his native minis, has been interesting for us to see him steadily improving, and he's looking like he wants to make up for those lost points last week, and he's maybe saying to our series leader Matt, I'm not having it, Matt. I'm still in this.
Yeah, I think he's going out there after a disastrous Spa. He's got the grip between his teeth and he's going for it. He's just come across the radio saying he's got no idea how he done it though. So maybe it was a one-off, maybe it wasn't. But we'll see him on board now as he goes into Abbey.
I mean, he's certainly been saving it up during the week. Yes, comes now into the tight right-hand village. Nice and neat. Do we know if he's on controller or if he's back on his wheel this week?
He's on controller, and look at the soaring he's doing on that wheel. He's definitely on a controller. I don't know whether it's the testing he's had on this, but every time I've seen him online this week, he's been playing Spyro. I think he puts it down to children playing on his Xbox, but I think we know better now. He seems to be quite literally on fire.
Yeah, and he's certainly showing a turn of pace that we haven't seen, but very closely followed behind him. Is Matt. We'll see this lap out. So the fast right-hander, which is quite tricky to get, and I am expecting this heavy braking zone of the chicane here, the final chicane, to be a bit of an issue as we come out of the valve through the left-right. I think there could be a few people that are going to send it up the inside and try and use the other car to slow themselves down. And he's putting in some consistently good times here. Is he going to improve on his 1:13.8? No, he's not. He's going to continue there as we now follow Matt on board, who's gone wide, so we'll ignore that. As Graham comes across the line, currently sitting in P3, half a second off a provisional pole to start another lap. And he has been quick all week, Graham, so we are expecting some great things from him.
He's been extremely quick, and his lap times are very, very consistent. He was less than 3 tenths down there for lap on lap, so 300, sorry, lap on lap. So I think what we will find out as we go through the race, or after the start, the first few laps, if they can keep it clean at the front, you will get 2 packs as we expect, and it would be great racing. But quite literally, we could find, if the first 3 or 4 drivers have a coming together, even losing 2 or 3 seconds that they will do by that, we'll get that second pack involved, and we could find a slightly different winner.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, hopefully we cure the tyre glitch overall, and we manage to get all cars in a competitive state, and that the racing is clean. There are a couple of pinch points, and certainly plenty of opportunities to overtake throughout the whole of the circuit. To be fair, here being one, you wouldn't necessarily get through the right-hand side, but you may just take it. And he uses all of the exit curve, takes the apex very nicely, and we will see whether or not this improves Graham's position. Can we sit in P3?
It should do. Oh no, that last sector he was 6 tenths slower in than his previous sector, so where he was up, he wasn't able to capitalise on it.
As we come now down the order to to Scott of the Pro-Am Racing team. Scott, who races in the Track Day Championship Track Day Trophy. He has been consistently quick and has set a lot of lap times that are right at the very top in all of the previous races, but he just doesn't seem to be able to put it together into getting that elusive win on the circuit. So qualifying and racing being very different, but he has also been susceptible to the cold tyre issue on occasion, and that's not going to help him. It's taken him out. He's just held on to that. Oh, no, yes, no, yeah, no. He's on his side, he's on his roof. So the commentator's curse has struck yet again, but he hasn't managed to pull that one through. So Dave is not made any effort to change his livery either, so we've got two people. Maybe he feels that if he runs in Alex's livery, it might help him improve on his lap time and get further up the leaderboard. Currently sitting in P8.
Yes, I was going to say, I'm just looking at the actual leaderboard as we are at the moment, and we can see Rob's obviously not got his theme tune on for qualifying as he did for practice, because he's quite a way off. It's probably down to not getting a clean lap in rather than anything else, but he is struggling right at the back and a fair few seconds off where he would normally expect him to be.
Yeah, I mean he has been struggling on occasion just to get that heat into the tyres, and it will be interesting to see whether or not he can improve. I mean, again, he's made zero effort to go in his traditional livery, and he does look like Rob from Club Racing UK. So it's almost like teams as sort of subconsciously coming to the forefront, and people run it as he runs wide and he uses that. So maybe he's on his roof. He's on his roof. Maybe he needs just a little bit of inspiration. Maybe that'll just spur him on, just as hopefully we'll be able to help him out a bit. Someone that we haven't really paid much attention to, mainly because he's really uninteresting to watch, but out of sympathy we thought we'd switch the cameras onto him, is R32 Dan, who's just mincing around. He said he fancied a nice little drive out in the Northampton countryside. Wasn't interested in the racing necessarily. I mean, he has been pounding himself furiously all week trying to get into shape for this race, and normally does have some over-the-shoulder backseat driving from his missus, who notoriously can be quicker than him, Karl, during midweek racing. I don't know if you've come up against her. She's a formidable opponent, certainly more so than Dan.
No, I haven't, but there was a couple of times I noticed Dan seemed to be abnormally quick, so it must have been those times. I wasn't aware of that.
I mean, it definitely wasn't.
So we've got to be careful. She's not on one night when we're racing.
It is, and I am surprised that you've not met her, because most other people have. She's well known in Bedford. Apparently, Dan was very brave there. He said she's very well known in the Bedford area. He's also just discovered that she is listening in the background as well, so that's gone down really well. So that's another divorce that Corona is going to sort out in the coming weeks. So let's follow Ed the student, who's probably had 3 scrumpy jacks or snake bites or something really similar this afternoon. Gone out for at least a 50-metre bike ride, gone back in and said, no, I don't really fancy doing that, I'm just going to play computer games all day. Ed has shown some pace in all championships, going wide there, probably going to have that lap time invalidating. And in P3, so hopefully the glitches and the tyres are bringing back... This is someone here, Rob Lewis of Club Racing UK, and if you guys are not watching it, please do tune in during the week to the podcast, because it's really good, and the guys are now getting into their stride as week 3 comes up shortly. So for that, but Rob is actually very quick and just half a second off of our pole, but he has been plagued by both internet connection issues and also that cold tyre glitch. If that has been cured, then I'm expecting him to see him at the front, Karl.
Yeah, he's been very quick in testing, and he's processed it through, and he hasn't been bragging anything over the group chats that have been going on. So he's been keeping himself quiet. He's then decided to come out of it. I think it's because he didn't want to give Scott a tow down
Scott.
the main straight.
It is Scott in the pro
so he's pulled out for that reason. But Scott is another one. If you look at him in 9th place, he's well outside of where we'd expect him to be in the top 5 as well. So he's probably quite desperate now to try and get this lap in. He's got at least 2 more laps after this one in case we give him commentator's curse. But
as he comes down into the final right-hander at the end of the hanger straight, keeping it nice and tidy. Misses the apex a little bit, but runs wide. You can get away with it a bit there. Maybe that is a quick line through. Interestingly, he's taking that in 4th, where some of the others are in 3rd. Coming down the Vale now into the hairpin, left-right. Misses the apex slightly there, but probably hasn't hurt his lap time too much. Plenty of curb on the inside. Runs it wide, maximising the traction in these Clios. And I am surprised we haven't seen more breakdowns of the Clios so far during this series, but luckily we get to rebuild them every single week, and it hasn't improved. He's still down in 9th place.
No, that's fine. Is it, Paul, can we just go on board with him, if possible, actually inside the car?
Certainly.
So if you look at the dash, you can see where he's actually time is up. So he's a little bit slower than his best lap overall at the moment by 5 thousandths, and now he's actually up. He's up by 3 tenths. So he had a good village link there.
And that is critical.
So this is the key bit coming down into Stowe. Yes.
Yeah. I do think that link onto the hanger straight is where people are making and losing quite a bit of time. The back end getting a little bit sideways, probably scrubbing speed there, not so good.
Yeah, I think as you can see, the times actually changed. So I think you're going to find that it's that cost him a good half a second in that zone alone. So, but he's caught some of it back out under braking, but he would have now killed that lap, and he's got literally 1 more lap to go. So it's his last lap for Scott to get a better lap time in and have no pressure of us watching him.
Yes, and Rob the Bear
Matt has gone back into 2nd.
Matt has, but the surprise of the evening, up until the point where we put the commentator's curse on him, cameras on board, the music must have inspired him, because he's currently sitting in provisional P3 with 1 minute remaining. Rob the Bear has banged in a lap time of 1:14.2, just 0.387 off, and that will not go down well with the Ginger Wrecking Ball himself, who we might as well follow him through. Hopefully that's not too wide. 0.7 seconds off of our provision, and he's pulled over to the side, so he's decided no, don't fancy that. As we wind down the clock and have a little look to see who is going to be our pole position man, as a few people just finish off their last lap. So Rob the Bear, we know, is not on a lap. Ed, coming down the hanger straight, may well get to finish this lap and put a lap in to see how he goes. Alex sitting very pretty on that 13.8. I mean, that is a rapid lap time, and if he manages to replicate that and get away at the front and manage to avoid all of the rest of the field, I think he could be in for a little bit of a gap and would be very difficult to pull back from there.
Yeah, I completely agree. His lap times have been consistent as well, and with Rob the Bear coming into 3rd, it sort of shows earlier on that he wasn't getting any clean laps, and as soon as he was able to get a clean lap in, he was able to put a decent time in. It was nearly 4 seconds quicker than what he was registering beforehand.
It was, and
just going through the list,
stays in P7 as he crumbled over, so 2nd off the lead. Just a message from Alex for the Northern Monkey team, rooting for the Northern Monkeys, Andy and Dave. Make sure you lick the stamp and send it. But to be fair, the pair of them are a little bit off the pace there, with Dave on 1.5 off and Andy just 2 positions, and he's off the track as we would expect. 2.2 seconds off of that top time. So they do need to pull their finger out during this race. And it's kind of almost the same. Well, yeah, it didn't take long, did it? We followed him, and he's on his roof with no one else around him. He seems to, he still hasn't recovered from the psychological battering of being beaten by Charlie last week on Sunday. He does need to work on his game. But our pole position man with a 1:13.8 is Alex Neville, who has been superlatively quick, and it will be very interesting to watch this first lap into the two slow areas of the right-hand River Village and then through the Beckett's complex, rejoining the main straight. Alex Neville, our pole position man with a 1:13.8, is absolutely clear of everyone else and no messing around, straight into it. We will wait for it to say syncing up. But Rob the Bear might get a nosebleed being this far forwards. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
It will do indeed, and it would be interesting to see if we have any tyre issues throughout the pack. So if we do, we'll get that back to the viewers on there now and let them know. We were up to 12 at one point, but back down to 11. There's always one out there.
Yeah, I think we maxed out at 13 there. So literally all of that marketing that we do all day, back up to 12. So just by mentioning the fact that we've gone down to 11, someone's decided the sympathy votes come in. I'm not really sure whether or not that's Dan's missus packing her bags and leaving after that Bedford comment, but maybe that's a one less viewer. We don't know. We'll find out in the fullness of time. So although the camera's wobbling around for the people that are watching, you will see the word sinking come up, and that is the start of the race, and it's going to be 15 very similar or identically powered cars, to use a Murray Walker phrase. The car is completely unique apart from the one that's following it, which is identical. They are exactly the same as we now start to get ready for our race.
I'm just watching if there's any drives in glitch, and it looks like Tom had a bit of a glitch there off the start, so we'll see how it goes into the first corner.
And everyone comes down now. So Alex, is he going to make this first turn? And there is contact between our championship leader yet again, and there's a few people got collected up unluckily there, and Graham's on his roof.
Involved. So this is where we were talking about the drivers in the background. Now, we're going to soon see that there's going to be probably a 15-16 second gap at the front, 5 or 6 to the ones at the back. So it'll be some interesting racing through. And we've got Bear and
so we've got Alex, who's leading, with Rob the Bear in second place, and then Rob Lewis in the similarly liveried car in third place. So team orders obviously coming into play there. In fourth is the Pro-Am car of Scott Thompson from the Track Day Championship MSV Series. Behind him, from the back of the grid, Nick McLeod, Night Sky Watcher, has pinged it straight up into fifth place, taking massive advantage of the carnage that's gone in the first couple of corners. Kiwi Russ is in P6, and Dave of the Northern Monkies team is in P7, following him very closely and pushing very, very closely up there behind Kiwi Russ. Be interested to see how that unfolds. In 8th place is Ed, who's got a little bit of fresh air in front of him, followed by Big Tongue Starkey, the Ginger Wrecking Ball, in P9. Andy Birtwistle, despite the carnage, is still in 10th. And Sam Pearce, our series organiser, is down in P11. I don't know if we got involved in some of that at the start of that race, but hopefully we will see whether or not he can claw his way up. R32 down behind him in the blue car. And Matt, our championship leader, who's had some issues in previous races, currently down in P13, but he has managed to get his way back up into podium positions and winning positions, as there's contact there between Sam. So Matt, yet again, benefits from that and scoops up and goes into P10. So he is making his way back up the field once again, Karl.
Yes, he is. He's having a fight through again. I think it's almost getting to a point that he's enjoying it, where Sam's luck has gone again with him. The one that I think got lucky through that, was number 4 in 4th position at the moment, Pro on the side, Pro-Am Racing. He started 9th, didn't get a very good qualifying, and he's actually got straight into the 4th, and I think he'll be then pushing down.
Well, it does look like Rob the Bear has gone wide. There's some issues there. Rob the Bear has had some issues coming onto that and has gone down into P7. And Alex is leading with 16-17 minutes remaining, and he has got clear air in front and behind. So if he doesn't make any mistakes, then it's really going to be Scott, who's chased him down a few times previously. And in P3, yet again in a podium position, is Kiwi Russ. But there does seem to be a little group here between P3 Russ, Dave, Ed and Rob the Bear and Big Ginger Wrecking Ball and Rob Lewis are only covered by less than 3 seconds, so it's very, very close in the midfield here.
Yeah, we've got the flying Kiwi, quite literally. I'm not saying that we're used to, but in this case, he is literally getting in, and his lap times are quicker than Scott in front of him. So it could well be that sort of gap drops down as well.
It will be interesting to see how that unfolds. And also, as we follow Big Tom Starkey, there is a little bit of needle here. The former teammates, there is the battle where they have, throughout the whole of the series, come together very, very closely. Tom's been very consistent. I mean, another half-decent top race in the UK lobby last Sunday night. And Rob the Bear is going wide. Is he going wide? And he's been collected. He has been collected. There has been a 3-car collision. Rob Lewis probably didn't have much of a choice there, really. I think both cars lost some speed as they came through that very fast right-hander, and Rob just seemed to get better drive, and unfortunately collected them.
Yeah, I've noticed we've also lost Johnny off of the screen. The 850, we've gone down to 14 drivers. So I don't know whether he's glitched out or not, and we've actually lost Sam off of the chat, which is in a good way, because we can't hear him moaning about his tyres, because I would imagine with the lap times he's got cold tyres, but it does seem like we're having the wonderful Xbox glitches again tonight.
Yeah, well, I think Sam deliberately switches the chat off so he can concentrate for the race, which clearly, based on the fact he's down in P13, makes no difference to his on-track performance whatsoever. But hopefully he'll be trying to work his way back up as the Ginger Wrecking Ball with his issues has gone down into P12, and the two of them will be very closely matched in terms of pace. It's a shame to see Sam down there again. We do want to see him further up the field. We know that he can run at the front. He was actually leading the race last time out at Spa for about 3 seconds before his tyres threw him into the wall. And he did drive well once he got some heat into the tyres, but it just was too late for that. So Ginger Wrecking Ball goes wide. Moving back up to the front of the field, Ed now with Kiwi Russ. Now this could be interesting. Ed is known to send it when he gets the chance, although he maybe didn't learn from. Maybe he's learnt from the issues he had at Brands Hatch, where he could have taken that place, but he needed to grow a pair and didn't send it up the inside. And he's just being respectful there. I'm not sure which one of these is going to crack under pressure.
I can see the Kiwi Russ is under pressure and he's putting it through, but they've both been a little bit respectful, considering these two are the ones that have had incidents of Brands at Spa together. I think they're just doing a little bit more aware this time. They want to go and see it on the chat and off to the clerk of the course and see Sam midweek.
And interestingly, the one that is sitting here in the background in the yellow and black livery car is Dave of the Northern Monkies team, and I think he's just waiting to see whether or not anything happens between these two in front of him, and he can jump up and get some more points. I mean, P5 would be a respectable result anyway, but if he can just see these two off, maybe another podium's in the offing, as Ed is getting very, very close to the back bumper there of Kiwi Russ as we come down the straight, and Kiwi Russ going defensive on the inside. He is expected, so it could be the battle of the brave and who's last on the brakes.
It is, and in the background we can see that Matt's coming in. So these two, if they need to get their head down and stop fighting, because their lap times have dropped by a second.
And there is contact as he goes around the outside. Is anyone being impacted by that? No, they both managed to get through, but he has taken the place. Dirty Ed up to his old tricks again, chops across the front, knocks the car off. Is Russ going to repay the favour as they come down into the braking zone? No, he's thought about it, but Dave is close behind him now, and they two of them getting there. Is he going to get better drive?
Yeah, and Dave will get the slipstream up the main start finish straight now, so we could see these three, Constantino and up, ready for Hangar Straight.
Could be, and I'm sure there's some sort of penalty here for Sam Pearce down in P13 as he's read, and some penalties further up as well. Dave's got one, and Alex Neville, but Alex is clear by 8 seconds over the second position man, who's also in a bit of fresh air both in front and behind Scott, the Pro-Am team, in P2. Ed's moved into that P3, but Kiwi Russ isn't going to be giving that position up anytime soon, and I'm pretty sure that Dave isn't going to let Russ get away with him either. So the field's getting a little bit spread out, but who in the background is trying to come back into it? Here he is, our series champion, chip leader in P14 after the start of the first lap. He's back up to P6 already, so yet again putting in some consistently good times, and is clawing his way back up the field to maybe secure that championship with 2 rounds to go.
Yes, and I think it's the way that this has gone and Spa has gone. Matt's definitely come out of it with the bit of a luck of being taken out and getting back into it. And Alex will be kicking himself changing his controller around, I'm sure, knowing that he was right up there for point scoring at Spa and has dropped so many to Matt.
As Graham now in the monster livery is up behind Dan, and Dan's in P8, which is the heady heights up there. I'm not sure whether he's moving out of his way, whether they're weaving, slipstreaming, what's going on. Do you want to go past? Don't you want to go past? Or whether he's just being very aggressive in his defence there. But Dan is not intimidated very easily. But he's lost some time, and Graham's tagged in from behind, and he's gone off again. So unfortunate there.
It was a great save there by Graham, bringing it back in and only losing time and not position.
But it has brought the cars behind him in as they go 3 abreast now as Sam Pearce sends it. Send it, Sam. He's having a little look at Big Tom Starkey, the G&M mechanic versus the G&M team racer. Tom moving to the G&M team for the 2020 season, with Sam behind him, broadly similarly placed in the game. But hopefully Send It Sam will lick it and send it up the inside into one of these next few corners.
I'm just wondering, Paul, with the time that Dan's gaining, whether his actual wife has taken over. He's a lot quicker than he was in qualifying.
Yeah, I think Bex is at the wheel because he's not normally in these dizzy heights of P8. Maybe he's worried, he needs to put in a good performance. He's going to have to do some explaining about the comment from Bedford. As he loses a little bit of time there, coming into the hairpin with the back end getting loose. Sam much tidier and looking to take it tighter up the inside. And is this going to be for position? He's taken the inside line and takes a drag. I do think he'll be able to make this stick as he comes up the inside on the start-finish straight, and he is in front. But is he going to get the draft into the corners? It's very close racing between the two G&M guys, mechanic versus driver. Sam due to start his fully fledged racing career and has made that move stick. And just behind him, not giving up and seeing whether or not there is a collective, because the Ginger Wrecking Ball is able to detonate at any particular moment, is Night Sky Watcher Nick McLeod.
Yeah, so Scott's just put in quite a slow lap time, which means he's gone back a bit on Alex. He was gaining on Alex, but he's put a slower lap time in, and it has let the Ed and the Kiwi to get a little bit closer to him.
Yeah, and Kiwi Russ is not giving up on this position with Ed. I am hearing on comms through the party chat that there may be some conspiracy going on here, that they don't want to take each other out. Obviously, Ed is trying to apply to some form of sensibility to Kiwi Russ. And anyone who knows Kiwi Russ knows that is an absolute waste of time. There is no way that Russ is going to sit back and take it. He is in full attack mode, and no matter what Ed thinks and what he says down there, no matter how many snake biting blacks, no matter how many goes of his girlfriend he's going to let him have, he is not going to allow him just to draft along here and gap the rest of them off. So Russ is right up behind him, and I think that he's going to put a move on him in the next couple of laps, because he would not make a doctor, because he's got absolutely no patience whatsoever, Russ.
No, and he's so desperate to get that podium position. I don't know if I laughed at that joke because it was so bad, or the fact that Russ actually did laugh at it properly.
Don't worry, Karl, I've got a lot of bad dad jokes in the cupboard, but I've refrained from bringing them out until the last couple of rounds.
So I think Russ may be trying the undercut that we saw Sam do so successfully a moment ago. Depends on Ed. No, he's not done that at all. He set himself up for it and then didn't. He didn't quite get it there, but
there are 8 minutes of the race.
Minutes.
Yeah, there are 7 minutes remaining in this race, as you say, Karl. And Russ has certainly got plenty more opportunities to, and just waiting, lurking in the background, almost like some sort of stalker, is Dave, who's hoping to clear up on the mess, the carnage that is potentially going to happen. As Matt has moved back up into P5 now, so clawing his way back up, and potentially with 6.5 minutes. It'll be very interesting to see whether or not he can join in the battle in front and pick up an unsuspecting and very surprising podium.
Yeah, I think he's slowly coming up, very, very slowly catching the guys in front of him with their little fight. As they haven't been fighting quite so hard the last 2 laps, they've been getting their head down. They've actually been putting in some good lap times. As I say that, they both dropped some tenths of a second round Stowe. So if we still look at the front, Alex is just getting... So we missed that there, but it looks like Ed made a mistake going into club. I don't know whether Russ is going to be able to actually pull this round the outside, though. Looks like
he has gone very defensive on the inside here, so he is expected there to be a challenge from Russ. So the inside line is potentially the place to be, but it will push him wide on the exit, and it'll be interesting to see as they get a run down now into this heavy braking zone. Russ is looking very impatient, I have to say, and he's moving to the inside as we come up to this heavy braking zone right-hander, and he's put a move in, and he's made it stick. He has. Ed has...
Yeah.
Ed has also got a penalty for that because he nudged him behind, which was a shame. Couldn't happen to a nicer bloke, is what someone else has just said down the microphone. And Matt is utilising this and pulling the gap back up now as he moves into 5th, having a little sniff at 4th as he comes down the hanger straight on the inside. So a championship leader, he can afford to take the risk because he is so clear in front. Is he going to put it up the inside? Yes, I think he's going to make this move stick.
Ed will have it going back down into club on the inside line, so let's see whether he can keep it there and whether Matt makes any mistakes.
As he moves up to the inside, and Matt doesn't manage to get through, and they both keep it clean through a very tricky part of the circuit. So Ed's fighting back and holding on to that P4 position, but I don't think Matt's going to give up. But further down the field, there is 3 cars battling it out, which is Dan, our championship organiser Sam Pearce Motorsport in P9, Dan in P10, and Big Ginger Wrecking Ball Tom Starkey in P11. All very, very close, and Sam is trying to chase down Graham, but there's just a little bit of a gap there. So really the close battle at the moment is between Ed and Matt. Matt in the green car, Ed in the car white with purple, to see how they're getting on. It just seems to have pulled a little bit of a gap. They've spread out a tiny bit. But Big Tom Starkey is coming up behind the R32 Dan now, and we know that he is absolutely wasting no time and will take any opportunity to try and take a position in front. Dan's gone wide in the exit there, so maybe he'll get the run now down the long straight. I don't think there's as much as a draft as there was at Spa. They're not really seeing that effect.
We've just lost another driver, Paul. So we've gone down to 13 drivers. I'm just trying to see who it is that's dropped out.
It is, yeah. Rob the Bears disappeared. It would seem. So I'm not really sure what happened there. As Ed still hanging on to that P4 and running very wide there, and Matt collecting it up. So this battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th is going to have an impact on our championship. Ed currently 48 points, on similar points to Russell. Scott, number 2, PRO, is in that group on 48 points as well, so will pull clear. Alex will get some points back against their championship leader, but 60 points behind, it's really going to be difficult for him to see that through. But it would be good to see him take that P1 after his mixed success so far. Ed's 48 points, Scott is 48 points, and Russell, Kiwi Russ, is on 48 points, with Dave, who's sitting in the background and lurking there, 40 points, and Tom Starkey, who's not really going to make a big dent into that. So we could see this. He's sent him off.
Kiwi Russ has gone off in the background.
And that is a surprise. He has been very consistent. I don't really know what happened there. I don't know if you've seen anything. But what has that done?
I think he's dropped a rear wheel on the exit of Stowe there, Paul, looking at it, which is pushed him right back down. And it's now interesting because we've now got Ed in 3rd with Matt in 4th. And it looks like Matt is carrying a penalty as well. I don't know what penalty it is. We don't get to see that. So as soon as we know what that is, we can work out. But it could mean that Ed could go back down as well, as he is carrying a penalty. I've just been informed.
Yeah, so it's Ed who's carrying the penalty and Matt in P4, very close to, and he runs a little bit wide there, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he picks up a penalty for that. Not really sure how it's going to work in the game compared to qualifying. He's let it off.
Matt's made the right decision to let off there so he doesn't get the penalty, and then he can strike again, knowing that he's got the toe going forward. So it's quite a clever decision there by Matt.
Two very different lines into there, so Ed taking the gamer line very narrow on the inside, braking very late and hard, and Matt taking the more traditional racing line as he goes defensive on the inside into this hairpin. It's great to be on board with our series championship leader, a man who's won many races so far and consistently good. Whether or not he can make up that gap, he has been clawing away, just 0.3 behind. It is as close as you see it at the moment. Not really much else going on the track, so we'll stick with this for a little bit of time. Can you see any differences between driving styles at all, Karl?
No, they look very similar and they look very clear through, apart from Ed sort of putting it a little bit wide there, and now he's going on the defensive. I think Ed's got to try and back up Matt here so that the penalty doesn't take into account. But we found that once these drivers tend to get in line, they tend to stick to the same line and stay push off. So I think we are going to get an attack from Matt here, with Alex probably going over the start-finish line soon. We could be 12 seconds ahead, could be on the last lap here.
And is he going to send it up the inside? He's our championship leader, he's comfortably in front. He's got a great line in there. I think that seems to be a good piece of driving. And he's made that move stick. As Ed comes back at him down into the Vale. Got the inside
so we've
line.
Just had Alex go over the start-finish line and win. He'd like to say hello to his granddad, I believe, and dad as well out there watching.
As we come across the line, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Matt can keep that podium positions going, but he can't. He can't, and for the first time in the series, it looks like he's been pushed down into 4th place, P4. So our winner this evening, Alex Neville of the Graves Motorsport team, with a lights to flag, fantastic pole position and an awesome performance throughout the whole day. Sorry not to spend more time following you, but to be fair, Alex, you were miles in front and there wasn't a lot going around you. In P2, Scott's had a great race for the Pro-Am team, 6 seconds behind and 5 seconds clear of P3, and hanging on to that P3 position as we came across the line, keeping our championship leader from that very close battle in P4 was Ed. Matt P4, Rob Lewis of Club Racing UK did really well to continue that surge up the leaderboard, and it's good to see him in some of the high positions in P5. Kiwi Russ in P6 after putting a wheel on the grass on the exit of Stowe, when he looked like he was certainly in the hunt. Dave in P7, Graham P8, having been taken out at the start of the race and having some battles throughout the field and looking like he was going back. Big ginger wrecking ball Tom Starkey with some points in 9, and P10 for Dan, which is great to see him. With some points as well. So we will update the championship. It does look like Alex is going to just claw a little bit back, but it is going to be very difficult for him to do so on our series championship leader Matt, who's well out in front. But the P3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 is certainly going to be shook up by those results, and we look forward to you joining us next week for the penultimate round of the championship. And Karl, any views on what's happened this evening?
Yeah, I think it's as we expected to go through. We expected Paul and Alex and Matt to sort of be pushing that through onto Paul, and Alex was able to take it through. It's just Matt got caught up again. It's something I think Matt needs to just try and qualify a little bit higher to try and avoid. But I think it's been a great weekend.
It has been, and we look forward to everyone joining us next week at 8 p.m. As we enter into the last couple of rounds of the championship. Hope everyone is continuing to stay safe and sane. We'd be interesting to see what the Prime Minister has to say tomorrow night and how that impacts on us. But I'm pretty sure that these 15, 16 drivers will be looking forward, no matter what the outcome of those conversations are from the Prime Minister tomorrow, to rejoining us at 8 p.m. next week on the same place. I've been Paul Harvey. I've been joined by Karl from Graves Motorsport. Fantastic job, Karl, and I'll see you during the week.
Yeah, see you in the week. Cheers, Paul.